All right, everybody. It is the start of Wookiee week tonight. It's a good Monday. We're going to chat all about our favorite furry friend. We got a few news items to get to. It's going to be a great time, but possibly the most apt time to say this. Wes, punch it! What's up, everybody? Hello, and welcome to the Living Force.
Oh my God.
I'm one of your hosts, Eric Eilerson, and it's Wookiee Week, everyone. Joining me tonight to celebrate all things Wookiee for our final crossover event of the year is the full cast and crew, starting off with the Max Verstappen of the show. It's Dr. Corey Helton.
Don't call me Max Verstappen. He's a douchebag. We don't like him in this household. All right.
Deal.
The Brazilian. Where was I going with that? The Brazilian Grand Prix was this weekend in Formula One. Max Verstappen, the Red Bull champion, was a giant tool, and now the entire internet hates him this week. And I shared that with Eric, and we get to make Formula One jokes now on the show.
What a time. We told you it was Living Force 4.0. Welcome to it.
Right.
It's all Formula One, baby. But nothing is as fast and fun as Formula One, except maybe hanging out with Dr. Charles Henkel. Hey, man.
That's me. Didn't that guy also win like GQ Man of the Year or something like the next day? So, you know, we should all listen to Ricky Bobby. If you're not first, you're last.
That's right.
Oh my God! Inspiring words from, frankly, a GQ cover model yourself, Charles. The hair is perfectly coiffed tonight, my friend. It's got that nice little bounce to it. Coiffed.
Thank you. I don't like that word either, but
coiffed. Sorry, I think it's coiffed.
Coiffed?
I don't know.
It's a little coiffed.
You know
Coiffed
what?
Sounds like something else.
We can all try to coif. We can try to quaff, but we will never reach perfection and glory because we will never be the man, the myth, the legend, the Wookiee! Wes Jenkins.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wookiee Week. I'm just going to steal Jared's line, and it's much like Shark Week, only scruffier, which is fantastic.
Ruffier sharks, yes!
Welcome to a Monday full of Wookiees and hair.
Coiffed hair.
We're not going to say coif anymore the rest of this episode. So
We've used them up.
Speak
we
for
have a
yourself.
limit. you can't put rules on Hankel. You can't chain the Hank. You like being called the Hank, Charles? Can we make that a thing?
It has been something that has been said before. I'll allow it for tonight.
Wait, you've been called the Hank before?
I have been called the Hank before.
How many X's did that take? My gosh. I'd call you the Hank.
Yeah,
shit, it's the Hank. Oh, the Hank's coming.
The Hank's here. The Hank's coming.
Yeah, I don't like
Well,
that,
everyone,
personally.
Hank and the gang are here to talk about Wookiees this week. We're excited that you're here as well, listening, watching, however you're enjoying the show. We hope you're having a great day. What we're going to do to start off the show, though, is a new little segment we're going to put in. Because as we said last week, the new format of the show is really about us getting to hang out with each other even more. We really just want to catch up. So I want to know what we've all been loving each week. Our friends in the Cosmic Force did this a while back, and it was really a nice, fun way just to kind of check in. So, guys, I'm going to be selfish. In our first ever segment of this, I'm going to tell you what I've been up to this week. And if you know me at all, or if I've been posting anywhere, you'll know that I've been looking forward to one event this past week quite a lot. I took 3 days off of work for it to happen, and it was the release of God of War Ragnarok. It's all I've been doing. And I wanted to use this moment, fellas, to share with you why my girlfriend is better than any of your partners. Because she surprised me with the God of War exclusive PS5 controller as an early Christmas gift.
Wow.
I did not know about it.
It's a good looking controller. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I was very happy with it, man. I was freaking stoked. And I literally took, fellas, the Hank and others. I don't know if you've ever just taken 3 days off of work to play a video game as an adult. If you got the PTO, friends, I highly recommend it. It was
I imagine that's pretty
such
freeing.
a great decision.
You can just like play video games for hours like without any guilt, right? Is that how it works?
That's it, man. Yeah, because like when you play at night, it's like, oh, I got work the next day, or like it's the weekend. It's like eventually this weekend will end. That'll suck. But like on Thursday night, I was playing, and then I'm like, oh god, tomorrow too. That's great.
Think about that all the time. Like as soon as Friday's over and Saturday's there, I'm like, man, it's gonna be freaking Monday before you know it. I mean, the weekend's almost already over. It's like Saturday at 8 a.m. It's like weekend's almost over.
Sunday scaries to Wes.
Yeah, Friday, Sunday scaries.
They've studied that actually, and they've found that Thursday is the most popular day of the week actually, because the weekend is funny enough filled with dread about the next week. Yeah. So like Thursday is like looking forward to the weekend. Friday is already here, so people don't like Friday that much, but it's Thursday is like the magic day of the week.
It definitely is in college. So Thursday night is the night to go out.
Dude, Thursday, because like you don't have Friday classes that you care about. And even as an adult, you can say, oh, it's Friday. If I'm a little hungover, whatever, thirsty Thursday, which is a lie. Don't. Working over sucks. But anyway, that was my week. That's my favorite thing I've been doing. And I finished Convergence, which I have next to me here.
Nice. Oh, yeah, nice.
The next High Republic book review's coming out next week. The embargo is up, so I'm gonna say I love this one. It's my favorite one in the phase so far. Zoraida Cordova is a killer, and Axel Greylark is exactly who we thought he was on our preview show.
Nice.
He's a freaking tool, and he's the most fun character I've read in a long time. So very stoked to chat about that one later on.
Does it tie in with Path of Deceit quickly?
Yes. So as you may have heard on our round table, the Path of the Open Hand does feature in the book. Okay. So just having a general knowledge about what the path is helpful. I mean, Zoraida Cordova does a great job, but like definitely helps a lot. Quest for the Hidden City didn't really tie in. Still a fun book, but if you didn't read the middle grade novel, you're gonna miss nada. Absolutely zero.
That's good. I imagine people will start with this book if I had to guess. Yeah, this is an adult novel. This is an adult novel, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I imagine a lot of people will start with this one. So
yeah, that's fine. Honestly, they do a pretty good job of it. Know what the path is. Watch the YouTube video of the mother over on StarWars.com on the YouTube channel. That'll help you out. So I highly recommend that. It's been a very, very good content week for me. Very stoked about that. Yeah. Nice. Corey, you mentioned it already, but tell us a little bit about your yesterday in the Grand Prix watching, because you become this guy. I don't know if people realize just how much of this guy you are now.
Yeah, I've had some kind of a weird week, honestly, because last week I've been having some eye issues a little bit. I had LASIK eye surgery in like 2019, and like 2 years is all I get out of perfect vision. Really sucks. You're supposed to get 10 and 15 years. I got 2. I had some regression in my vision, and I'm wearing glasses tonight. I look like that little 12-year-old boy that we've showed on the screen, a couple times.
That, yeah.
Right? They don't fit very well either. So they keep sliding off my nose, also, but because I don't wear them very much. But anyway, sure. I've had some vision regression and some issues with that, and I had a bunch of problems with my new sim racing rig. Remember I told you I built a sim rig here. I can turn the camera and show it a little bit. But this gigantic,
in all its glory.
Look at that.
It's built insane sim racing rig back there. That seat I pulled out of a Mini Cooper in a junkyard and built it, and it's crazy. It's like triple screens. It's ridiculous. It's insane. Truly, I spent way too much money on it. But I was having some problems like getting the perspective right. Like you don't realize that like with sim racing, it's like the perspective is like super important. Like how you're looking at the triple screens has to be like perfectly lined up, and all the lines have to like converge so it looks like a real like car and stuff. So there's like perspective stuff that you have to adjust in the software, and it's kind of a pain. And I was having all this trouble, and I posted on Reddit, and I got some help from people who told me that I wasn't sitting close enough, and I was not sitting at the like right angle and not high enough. Anyway, long story short, I spent like 5 hours adjusting like the perspective and how I look at the screens, and it ruined my eyes. I had, because all of this, like basically just staring at a screen and getting really, really close to it, and then like trying to figure out the right angle to sit and all this stuff. It like that on top of my eyes being a problem anyway, and I've had some other issues with it, like it just gave me crazy eye strain to the point that I could like barely stand and look at my phone. It was hurting my eyes so bad. So like I took like 2 full days off of like like hardly any screen usage. I say that, but I really failed pretty tremendously at it, honestly. Man, my life is just entirely on screens. Like, I don't know how I will survive, the post EMP apocalypse. So anyway, long story short, I'm back to wearing glasses now. I think I'm going to start wearing them all the time because I've had so many problems with it. So in the midst of all that,
can you shave your beard? Can you please shave
my beard
too?
I know,
so
dude. I will look
Corey?
like that. That photo is not even that old, right? So I
your hair in the middle.
But no, that photo really shows how much life has happened to you. Said that's a pre-COVID Corey being like, life is fine. And now you're like aged and
I'm jaded
and harrowed. Yeah, jaded.
That's it. So I'm like, I am genuinely obsessed with racing now. How this happened is some friends of mine told me I needed to watch Drive to Survive on Netflix, and I watched like the first 5 episodes on the way to Hawaii. And I was totally hooked. By the end of our month-long trip, I had watched all 4 seasons of Drive to Survive and all the races and all the commentary and all the practice and qualifying sessions for the entire 2022 season of Formula One. And I'm like legit into it now. And then I started researching sim racing while I was in Hawaii. I bought all the gear before I got back. So when I got here, it was already here for me. Thank you to Gia on the team for carrying all this shit in the door because it was really heavy, I'm sure.
Astonishing.
Astonishing. Yes, I'm genuinely obsessed with racing and in sim racing. So, it's been, which is I think interesting to bring up on the show because like it's been a bit of a joke how little I know about sports, like the entire time we've had this show. And like, I finally get it now. I have a sport to follow.
Found your sport. Yeah.
I freaking love it. I had a blast. There's a kind of not really a bar. It's like a sim racing business here in Asheville. And they do like race watch parties and stuff. And I went to one on Sunday, which was maybe the most exciting race of the season. Truly, it was a ton of fun to watch, and all kinds of inter-team drama happened, and teammates taking each other out, and oh man, just the Reddit is just on fire right now with all of the memes, and it's fun. It's fun.
I'm so glad you found that physical community too. That's one of the great things about sports. One of the great things about like why we love Star Wars in the first place is finding people to chat about. So then you find your sport, you find people to chat about. It's just like. It's such a fun thing there. The Hank, what you been up to? How are the Heat?
What have I been up to?
How's your sport? How's your life?
Miami started out not great this season, actually, but we just beat the Hornets back-to-back, so that's good. Got us back on track, I think. Hopefully. We'll see. I'm still expecting to be disappointed in the long run, but, that's sports.
Healthy.
That's sports. right, Corey? And
you get it.
What else have I been up to? Well, Eric, you said, you were curious if we knew what it was like to take 3 days off of work to play video games. I don't know what that's like, but when I had COVID 2 weeks ago, I was working from home exclusively. So in between every patient, I was just playing PlayStation, and I'm not up to date on gaming like you are. So I'm not to God of War Ragnarok yet. I was still playing the original Spider-Man game on PlayStation, which was so much fun. Yeah. So much fun. Like, honestly, probably top 5 games for me all time. I got like 100% completion on like even all the trophies and stuff, except for like 2 things that were just absurd. And I'm already, as of today, 86% through Miles Morales now. Like I crushed those, and
that's amazing.
They were so much fun. And there's a 3rd one that's going to come out. I don't know when. I think like next year, maybe, or a couple of years or something. Yeah. But
they're making another one. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2. We can play both Peter and Miles.
Yeah, you switch between them apparently. So that'll be a ton of fun. So yeah, I've been getting back into a little bit of gaming, things other than 2K, which has been fun. And then my sister was in town this weekend, and so we just did a bunch of good food, good drink, and we decorated the house for Christmas because I'm one of those.
Yes.
One of
those. Okay.
Nice.
Chat members and or people listening, tell us when do you think it's appropriate to decorate for Christmas? Because Charles, I'm proud of you. I am firmly post-Halloween. That is fine. If it's post-Halloween, I don't need to wait till post-Thanksgiving because then you only have like 3 weeks, really.
Exactly. And you know what I'm thankful for? Christmas. Move on.
Nice. Nice. You know what Thanksgiving is? Just a day off.
Strongly in the post-Thanksgiving camp, personally. And Caitlin is the whenever the hell she feels like at camp. So we have Christmas decorations all over our apartment, and they've been there since before Halloween. So here we are.
Wait, before Halloween?
What? Caitlin listens to Christmas music like in like July. So like,
you swore to destroy the Sith, not join.
I know.
Caitlin is a doctor of the human mind, and she's listening to Christmas music in June?
I mean, if there wasn't more proof that she's insane, I think that helps solidify.
Oh my God.
That's the key. I also, if you sing it in minor, it's really creepy.
Stop singing that like a serial killer. That's the problem. That's really quiet.
I would also like to point out that if you're an audio only listener, Eric and I are in the top 2 quadrants of the screen. Wes and Corey are in the bottom 2. They are the anti-Christmas people. So we have the high ground.
We're on the bottom. Like per the Zoom call, we're closer to hell, right, Wes?
Yeah, that red glow behind Corey is not accident lighting.
All right, so Corey's partner in the pits and bowels of hell. Wes, how's your week?
Week was pretty good. Just had to go to work, and then
that many times.
Yeah, I had all intention purposes to construct a deer stand to be elevated up off the ground when I am hunting prey. And I bought about $200 worth of wood and screws. And I took it home and laid it all in the garage and looked at it. I just looked at it. And I was like, I wish this would build itself because I don't want to do anything right now. Because there's so many different like designs that I could do, and I would go back and forth online about which kind of design I want to do and how big I want to do it, how tall I want to do it. Should I put concrete in the ground? Should I put it on skids?
Good Lord.
Oh my gosh, there's so much to think about. And then I texted my friend. I was like, how big should I make it? Should I make it 5x8, 6x8? He's like, make it 6x8 so we can both sit in there. I was like, I don't want you sitting in there with me. You're just going to make fun of me the whole time. You're probably going to scare the deer off by talking and saying, oh, I'm hungry. I want to leave. So I made it huge.
3x8. Shit. Like
mostly they're probably not going to help me when I get down there. So I'm going to make it all, I'm going to erect it all by myself.
Very good.
Excellent. Good.
Why not just buy one of those like climbing tree stands or some shit? Isn't that easier?
Those are dangerous.
Those are dangerous?
Yeah.
Why don't you buy one of them climbing tree stands?
And we don't have any trees like that big around.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Eric has no idea what you're talking about. Do you know what we're talking about, Eric?
I grew up in rural Michigan. Of course I know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah, I'm surprised. There you go.
We don't have trees like telephone poles. If we did, then I might think about it. So I have to make my own little clubhouse.
It sounds like my own personal hell. It's building one of those things. Yeah, are you going to build it? Well, so are you going to pack all that crap up in your truck and drive it down there and build it?
I'm gonna make the base, the platform that gets put on, and then I'm just gonna take it down to the lease and then construct the rest of it from there.
Just promise me one thing, Wes. Promise me you will take a crown to a piece of paper, a crayon, I should say, to a piece of paper. And
you say crayon, you say crown.
I say crown. I say crown, and people light me up for it.
Wait, whoa. What?
I thought I knew
you. Let me say the thing, then we'll come back to the crown thing. I want you to write on a piece of paper, "No deer allowed," and tape it to the outside.
Okay, I agree completely.
Only stipulation.
I agree completely. Now,
I'll do that just for you.
Back up the tape. What?
Bring it on.
The word you said with your mouth, the thing that children draw with, is called a what?
My wife says that
call
too.
It a crown.
Crown. It's a weird Southern thing,
that's
dude.
Not
Some
what
people
the
say that.
Are.
I know, it's ridiculous.
You can make that argument for like 30% of the English language.
Like CROWN.
Why are there silent? Why are there silent letters?
Crown Royal.
Don't come for me. Come for English. Don't come for me. Come for English.
All right.
Anyway, I'm moving to your part of the country. My God. All right. Well, I'm glad you guys have had great times. Else, everyone, gosh, I want to know your Christmas thoughts. I want to know your crown thoughts. And Wes, I want you to know at the end of the day, if you build this whole thing and you take time constructing it, and at the end you don't like it anyway, that's fine. Corey did it first. All right. Lest we forget the
trailer. You know, this is kind of related. You know, I built my siblings a treehouse when I was in high school. Not like a, you know, some posts on a treehouse.
Oh no, I assume this thing had like Wi-Fi.
It did have Wi-Fi. It had Wi-Fi. It had electricity, and it had electricity. It had electricity, it had Wi-Fi, and it had an iron stove, a cast iron stove built in there too.
Is that how it burned down?
No, it's still there. I think. I hope it is. I built it on post. I actually didn't attach it to a tree. It's not really a tree house. It's more like a post house. I also made it way too tall. Like 14 feet is a lot higher than you think it is.
Oh my
Just
God,
trust
that's
me.
way too tall, man.
It is very tall,
tall.
and it's on a hill, right? And I wanted the lowest part to be low, like high enough, and that's where 14 feet is. So the high part on the hill is like 23 feet up in the air.
There are a lot easier ways.
High.
There are a lot easier ways to kill your siblings and make it look like an accident.
That's true. That's true.
You don't even need the cast iron.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're constructing, Wes. I expect more progress on that. I'm excited for it. I
some
do want to
photos.
say though, right
Kill
now,
multiple deer.
Wes.
Jump out with a Bowie knife.
No, the
Yes.
spear. The spear. I was supposed to be
Oh,
like,
yeah,
yeah, that's right,
spear.
you're the
Yeah,
spear.
spear. I forgot
Spear.
about that. Oh yeah.
How'd we forget? Well, I hope you use the spear in your murder of the deer. I will give you a shout out, Wes. Speaking of murdering things, you did murder our good friend Paul in fantasy this week. Congratulations on your victory. No, you're up by 10, and you still got players tonight. I a shock to all, am projected to lose again because I love this thing more than maybe anything else in the world, and I'm very bad at it. But that's fine. Shout out to Charlie, whom I love so dearly, for winning by a single point in fantasy, which is one of the best feelings in the world.
Love you, babe.
Oh God, love you, honey. Thank you for being better than I am. Shout out to our buddy James, though, who is #1 in the league right now. And Emma, of course, who is right up there, and Jacob, who's right up there. 3 people tied for first technically at the moment. The Utini Fantasy League continues to ride. All right, gents. Now let's jump into something that we have not done in a hot minute. Wes, this is going to be a drop I haven't said in so many weeks, but it's time for a little mini Star Wars Weekly Roundup.
It's the Star Wars Weekly Roundup.
All right, despite the fact that we did a lot of things this week that weren't about Star Wars kept going. First thing I want to ask you guys, a question I would put money on knowing the answer to. Did any of you guys watch Zen, Grogu, and the Dust Bunnies on Disney Plus?
Dude, I didn't find out that didn't even existed until
Wait,
somebody brought
now?
it up.
Charles, you did?
Watched it.
Charles, you watched that?
Oh no, I was raising my hand for you to call on me so I can say no, I did not watch that.
I knew it. So for those listeners and viewers that don't know what we're talking about, this was a short that was put on Disney Plus. Studio Ghibli, the folks that made like Princess Mononoke, Howl's Moving Castle, a bunch of like the most famous animated products of all time, partnered with Star Wars and made a little short about Grogu and the Dust Bunnies. The Dust Bunnies are characters from other previous Studio Ghibli things. And you know what? It's there, I guess. I don't know. Not my thing.
Is it good? Did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched it, and I watched it on a dog walk on my phone, and you know what? That was fun. That was fun for me. Like,
It's just cars swerving out of Eric's way as he walks down the middle of the street watching this.
it's a hand-drawn 90-second animation thing, and like
it's only 90 seconds
fine.
long.
90
yeah,
seconds.
it's 90 seconds. long.
Oh, that
Is
makes
this
the announcement feel a little much.
Exactly. The teaser for it was like almost as long as the thing. Like Studio Ghibli made this huge announcement, and they were like, Studio Ghibli's coming, which of course I was like, holy shit, are they doing a Visions short? Because that would be massive if they because Visions season 2.
Are we sure that's not happening though? Actually,
No, we're not. We're not sure. That might happen. That might happen.
yeah.
But like,
Surely this is not the only thing that Studio Ghibli is going to do. Also, is it Ghibli or Ghibli? Because I think it's actually Ghibli, which sounds
no one actually
awful
knows,
to say.
Corey. It's a mystery. It's a mystery in the world.
We're saying a lot of words that we
knows.
should never say again on the show tonight.
Yeah, you're right.
Giblets.
If we're gonna outlaw coif, I'm gonna outlaw
I told you.
Ghibli.
Well, yo, here, Charles, Dr. Crown over there. How many of these letters are silent? How many ones you did not say? Overall,
funny.
though, if you enjoyed it, great. It sounds like folks had a good time with it. That's fine. It was 90 seconds of my life. I watched it. I'm like, great. Not my thing. Moving on.
Dude, it took longer to like open up Disney Plus to play it than it is the episode. Wow.
Exactly. On the other hand, something that I did love, and I know I'm gonna freaking love y'all. The Acolyte is filming, y'all. The show that is coming up next is filming, and the cast was actually officially revealed. I realized that we've gotten a lot of stuff from like Deadline and like a lot of stuff from like Hollywood Reporter and shit like that. But now StarWars.com put out an article that's like, yo, here's the cast and here's a behind the scenes picture. So, first of all, this cast, one, God, they're so attractive. Everyone's hot. Everyone's
Carrie-Anne
hot.
Moss.
Yes. Okay. So Amanda Stenberg, Lee Jung Jae, Manny Jacinto. We know a lot of these folks. Carrie-Anne Moss, freaking Trinity, my guy from the Matrix, dude. Like officially got announced. Wes, are you a Matrix head?
I am a Matrix head. I remember asking you guys, hey, are y'all going to see the new Matrix movie? And you're like, and you said,
we bullied
no.
you for
You
it.
said, no, Wes, we're not like 40 years old. I was like, oh, okay.
But I heard it was fun.
I also heard it was fun. Do you own a trench coat? You have a spear.
No, I don't know a trench coat.
Well, you should. But yeah, Carrie-Anne Moss is going to be in. She was also in. She's in Horizon Forbidden West. By the way, for any speaking of gaming, she was in that this year. She was in Jessica Jones. I think she was in so she's been in a lot of nerd stuff. But I love that they're bringing her into this cast. And Wes, do we have a look at that behind the scenes image that they listed in that article as well? Because one of the things that's awesome is that Amanda Stenberg there on the left is wearing a freaking Japanese Boba Fett shirt from Heroes and Villains. Like, she's wearing the swag, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Like, one of us.
I didn't even recognize that.
Or they're like, wear this so we can take this picture, and then you can take it right off. Don't worry about it.
Nah, dude, she's OG. She posted all about it. I'm very stoked about it.
This is like
look at
one
the
of those
set,
projects that
I know.
Yeah.
I was going to say.
Yeah, dude.
this is one of those projects that, even though it's next, has just felt so far away to me. So this
Yeah.
makes it feel like it's actually coming, and that's nice.
Yeah. Because we do get technically all of Bad Batch season 2 and all of Mando season 3 before this hits. So
Yeah.
we still got a little ways.
Oh, wow.
But most importantly, we got an official synopsis that adds some stuff that I did not know. And Charles, I would swear on my grandmother's grave that you've never read these words in your life. So read the synopsis to us, and I want your initial thoughts as you read them.
Oh,
They're in the
gosh.
outline.
All right, well, let me go to the outline then.
I knew you weren't looking at it either.
No,
Fun.
definitely.
Charles,
All right,
the
I
Hank
found it.
Crown just lets it rip. You know?
I found it. All right, The Acolyte is a mystery dash thriller that will take viewers into a galaxy of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers in the final days of the High Republic era. A former Padawan reunites with her Jedi Master to investigate a series of crimes, but the forces they confront are more sinister than they ever anticipated.
Yo. I like that, because you know what that sounds like? Oh, we're looking up crimes and stuff from the High Republic era. Sound familiar, High Republic fans? Trail of
Yeah.
Shadows, baby.
High Republic
Come on
CSI. Everybody likes
Yeah.
CSI. Or Law and Order.
Public CSI.
Either one of them.
Maybe I have a bunch of like random celebrity cameos, and they're like just a dead guy in the background and stuff. Like
It's like Kathleen Kennedy is just over on the side, like, ooh, and guys are like, we did it! And I'm
Exactly.
Oh,
And Ice-T
That'd be the
just
worst.
comes to the doors like, we got to get to the bottom of this. Ice-T, what are you doing on our show?
I would love for Ice-T. Ice-T, he's in the same category of cameo as freaking what's his name from Spy Kids in the Boba Fett show.
Danny Trejo.
Danny Trejo.
Trejo.
Yes.
You
my
think,
God.
okay, the movie you picked, Danny Trejo, was Spy Kids?
I knew I had to pick something I knew Eric would recognize immediately. Okay, like it was just the
You
first
know
thing
what?
that came to
You know what,
mind.
Corey? It worked. Because I
It
got
did.
him
It did. Good
immediately.
job.
Is a big
Good job.
Spy Kids fan. We all know that.
I'm a big
Danny
Spy Kid kid.
Trejo.
But I will say what's surprising about this is that when we've talked about the Acolyte in the past, like we've been like, oh yeah, it's dark side, and everyone's gonna be probably like Sith Lords and stuff. This makes me think that the two we see in that still Amanda Stenberg and Lee Jung Jae, I think she's his former Padawan, and I think they might be the Jedi instead of like Sith Lords, which is fun because I
Interesting.
thought this was gonna be all dark side like point of view, but I think it makes sense that Star Wars is always gonna show us the dark through the lens of the light, at least in live action.
Yeah.
You know?
Do we think it's gonna be? Is it do we know anything about like multiple seasons or anything like that yet, or is this just kind of a?
Oh, great question. Not that I know
Yeah.
of. I think it's.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, I gotta say, if Andor has been any one, I hope that Andor is teaching a lot of lessons to literally everyone that's involved in anything. Because just do this for everything. I hope they have a set amount of seasons. Right now, they're like, this is how long the
Right.
story is. This is how many seasons we'll give it.
That
like,
does help. That does help out a lot.
Yeah, right.
Especially with Andor, it's helped out. Like there's
Oh my god, it's
anticipation, like,
so
oh my
good.
god, they're gonna redo this. They're gonna keep doing the series? Do we have to like make people watch this so we can have another series kind of thing? And I hate that. I hate when that happens. But yeah. Let us know so we can,
let us know. I want to know what's happening. But I'm excited about this. I'm glad they officially revealed everybody. I love, again, it looks like a giant set, very kind of like Batu-esque vibes for those that have been to Disney. Like, it looks really cool like that. I'm very excited to see what they do. And again, Star Wars. Any behind the scenes stuff you want to send, little pictures like this, just let us know what's happening. Just let us know. Don't tell me the next director that's been confirmed for a movie, because it's all lies. All I need to know is pictures of these guys. So very stoked about that. And we'll keep you guys posted on other news as it comes out. For right now, the only other piece of news y'all need to know is next week, Tuesday the 22nd, this book next to me, The High Republic Convergence, comes out officially. Get your pre-orders in. Reviews are coming out next week. As I said, I finished it this week. Had a freaking blast with it. Listen to the audiobook as well. Mark Thompson kills it naturally. And that's all your Star Wars that is coming around the bend. All right. Now, for Wookiee week, if you will. When this first got announced, I got to give a shout out to Jared, who's in our chat, our buddy from Legends Lookback. When we first started thinking about crossover events for the podcast, we're like, all right, what can we do? Well, it makes sense. And I remember one of the first things that Jared thought of was like, Wookiee week. And we're like, yeah, great. No idea why. It sounded good. It sounded fun. Oh, they're in Legends. They're in canon. So shout out to Jared for bringing it up. But other than the obvious alliteration, fellas, I just want to ask you guys a basic question that we can riff on for a bit. Why Wookiees? Why do we like these giant bears? Because for some reason, every generation, we all fight. Wookiees seems to love a lot more. And yes, Jared, the timing's correct. Life Day is this Thursday.
Oh,
17th, actually.
There you go.
So they get the actual Happy Life Day in the future. But why do we like Wookiees? Why?
Yeah, that's a really fun question, I think, because I think the general concept of a really tall, furry alien that does not speak English as a main character in the original trilogy, and not even the original trilogy, in episode 4 was pretty risky, quite frankly, in an era of storytelling and movies where like aliens were not very good in movies. Like,
subtitles, no.
Yes, yeah, definitely not.
No.
I think I like having him not speak a language that anybody can understand. Helped us all interpret what he's saying differently, and interpreting what he's actually saying through like his gargles and his growls is more fun because he's like, when he says I don't know, he's like, oh, and you're like, oh, he said I don't know, and so that's just fun in a sense, to have a character like that where you can be like, he actually said this, and you're like, no, he actually didn't. But
I mean, and it's the perfect setup, right? Like Lucas basically told us, hey, kids, you all get to be Han Solo, and your dog can talk to you. Like that's it. That's the male fantasy. That's really what when we talk about it, it's like, what if my dog could sit in the car, could drive, and it could talk to me?
Yes.
That's amazing.
And you just go on adventures with perfectly coiffed hair with your dog. And
Charles,
there's something
talked about this.
No, but we all have dogs. I mean, really, it is a cool thing. There's Doc making a little appearance with Wes.
Oh, hey, buddy.
There's Chewie.
Oh.
But there is something about the Chewie does have dog-like qualities, and that's not a knock on Chewie. That's actually a great thing. If people were more like dogs, it would be a better world. But
I agree.
Ruth.
He's so loyal, right? But then he also has there's something cool about like it's this big fuzzy walking carpet that I would love to give a hug and is very tender and loyal, but at the same time will rip someone's arms off if they do you wrong. You know what I mean? Like it's a guard dog, but also like your best friend.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And I think that's like, again, why, when Jared and I were chatting and he's like, okay, what do you guys want to do on Unlimited Force for this week? That's one of the reasons why I said, okay, Chewie specifically, I want to focus on. Because, obviously Wookiees are that, but like you say, Charles, Chewie more so than, Tarful and Lumpy and, all the other Wookiees. is the one that is really everything you want. He has that tenderness. Yeah. Oh yeah. Lumpy.
I hope
Lumpy
that,
reference.
that only Legends they can only do Lumpy. That they can't do anybody else.
Yeah. You guys love Limpawaru, right? He's your guy. Hashtag holiday special. But yeah, I think like one of my favorite things about Chewie, I was thinking about it this week, and I was like, you know what? Out of all the moments, weirdly, when I think about Chewie, I love his funny moments in the OT. I love when he shows up in the prequels. But the moment that I thought of first really surprised me, and it was in Force Awakens. And it's right after spoiler, Han dies.
Damn it.
Rough moment. But it's Chewie's moment of just screaming in vengeance and then shooting Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
Again, maybe intentionally in the stomach because he couldn't shoot him in the face. Who knows? But then that hurt pain of losing his best friend, but also continuing the mission and like all the way down to him having that moment of where he just has that grief moment. And it's like realizing that, oh my gosh, we are not only loving Chewie as audience members being our dog. In that moment, we are Chewie because we all just lost Han. When Chewie has known him as long as we have. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's weirdly been this lifeline for all of us. And I think that's why he hits us so hard is that, oh, it's Chewie. He's just so dependable. He's always there.
Yeah.
And he feels the losses and the victories just like we do. And for, again, like you said, a non-word speaking kind of mime character, that's incredible.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, he gets such a heroic moment in that film. And I was just going to say that he is also kind of funny. It's kind of funny that he's in so much stuff. Like Chewie is really in a lot of movies. Like he's in Revenge of the Sith, which is so random, right?
Yeah.
And he's like a main character in the Solo film, right? So like it's funny that he's a side character, but he's like he's in like more he's in more movies, I think, than a lot of Star Wars characters, which is so funny to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, people probably don't think about how important that moment is too from TFA that you're talking about, Eric. But Kylo Ren later on in the Rise of Skywalker, novelization, thinks to himself that him being shot by Chewie in that moment is the only reason that he lost to Rey when they had their battle in the snow. Whether you subscribe to that or not, or maybe that's Kylo just trying to hype himself up. I mean, maybe that is true. And if he hadn't done that, man, the whole sequel trilogy went a different way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Chewie has been affecting things so often. Like whether he's fixing the Falcon, not fixing the Falcon, coming to save people at the final moment. You know, you gotta get the princess. You know, all that kind of stuff. He gets all these responsibilities. Which, God, sorry, you mentioned Revenge of the Sith, and now I just can't think of like, I miss you, Chewbacca. Like it's just so weirdly out of place. I love that movie, but it's like, really? Like, I will miss you. Will you, Yoda? Like really? This is the one?
Really? This is the cameo. It's such an odd cameo, honestly, to put in too. It's just funny.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. But
so Jared pointed out that another like really important thing about Chewbacca is that he's played by Peter Mayhew, who is beloved by everybody.
For sure.
But he pointed out that Chewbacca has a mustache that is very subtle, but he has a mustache.
He definitely has a mustache.
Yeah.
Wait,
so
no.
Yeah. See the very subtle mustache that he has, and he said it's an homage to Peter Mayhew. But yeah,
nice.
See that?
I've never seen that before.
Me neither. That's what
I've always
said.
I've always thought it was a Lando-esque mustache.
Yeah,
it is. Oh my God, how much did that piss Han off? The fact that Chewie has a Lando mustache.
Hello, what have we here?
Chewbacca lived like Lando wanted to. Mustache, no clothes. Like that's the dream.
Absolutely. But yeah, I think you hit it hard, Wes. Though is that none of this works without Peter Mayhew, who again we all we tragically lost a few years back now. You know, which is wild to think. And like all of these subtle head movements and all these things were physicality and are all these things that you again, like you said, no one was doing that under masks in the 70s and 60s.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
no one was able to express that stuff. And Corey, I know you were doing a
Not done
bunch of
well.
stuff. Yeah, you're right. Done well. People were trying. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I mean,
But
if
Mayhew
you
just did amazing.
yeah, and I do want to talk about Mayhew. I looked a bunch of facts about that, but on the role of aliens and stuff in science fiction in the 70s and like 80s and stuff, it's like it's just really amazing that Chewie works. I mean, because you look at the if you look at the aliens even in Star Trek, like there's a lot of main characters that are aliens in Star Trek, right? But it looks movie making esque, right? It looks weird.
It's not
like,
a character.
Yeah, it's not a character. It's obviously somebody wearing this goofy head thing, right? And like, not to crap on Star Trek, I do genuinely enjoy Star Trek, and Star Trek really did invent a lot of the technology. I mean, we have a lot to thank Star Trek for in Star Wars, like from a cinematic perspective. But like, just the Chewie's such a strangely believable character, which is just so funny because it's just a guy in a big hairy costume. And I looked up some stuff about it's the eyes, I guess. And
they're so expressive.
Not those eyes.
That doesn't look real to you.
That's not the character I was thinking of. That's is
Quark,
alarming.
That's a jump scare.
That was a bit of a jump scare. I can't believe you got that together so quickly. Peter Mayhew was born May 19, 1944. He died in 2019. He was 74 years old when he passed. I remember Peter when he passed, like this death I think hit me harder than I think anybody else's that we've had in modern, since we've all been huge fans. I mean, Carrie was such a shock, I think, that just hit different. But Peter had a medical condition called Marfan syndrome. And Marfan syndrome is a connective tissue disorder that is genetic and often makes you very tall, and it comes with a whole slew of strange issues, including like some eyesight problems is very common with Marfan syndrome. He was 7 feet 3 inches tall. He's a really, really huge guy. The Wikipedia page for Peter Mayhew is super interesting. You should give it a read. It's a fairly long one too. It says that George Lucas originally wanted to have a tall actor to play Darth Vader, and that's really originally why he asked Peter Mayhew to come in, and it was to play Darth Vader.
Oh my god!
And they ended up picking David Prowse to play Vader, and he was a bodybuilder, and he was 6'6" and had a bigger like frame and stuff, which fit I think a little better for Lucas's vision. But he did keep Mayhew around to play Chewie, this alien character that he had invented. And he was an orderly. He was an orderly at a hospital in Surrey, England, which is, I think he met George like in that time period. I don't think he was really in a lot of movies before that.
And Harrison Ford is 6'1", isn't he?
I love seeing pictures of Peter and Harrison together, because you really don't understand just how tall he was in such a massive, and again, like him being such a massive force too, but yet such a beloved, kind-hearted man. I think you can't, not to get too overly sentimental about it, but we will a little bit for Peter, like the magic in his eyes as Chewie, you can't get that from just any person. Like to have someone with that kind of kindness, and Chewie had that toughness and mischievous nature, but there was the quote twinkle in the eye, and I think that was just Peter coming through. Yeah,
he says he was in 5 Star Wars films, which is crazy. He was in Empire, Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Sith. Oh, and the original one, of course, and Force Awakens. And he also played Chewie in the holiday special. He had a 1980 appearance on The Muppet Show.
Yes!
Oh, wow. Muppet special, yes.
Legendary.
And this says he also recorded, this is the movie making fact that I didn't know. It says he recorded dialogue for the Clone Wars Season 3 finale episode Wookiee Hunt. I didn't know that. Yeah, so he apparently voiced some stuff. He says he based his sounds and stuff. He says he walked through the London Zoo and like took a whole bunch of notes about bears and monkeys and gorillas, about the way they moved and the way they sounded. Like we really do owe a lot of that believability about Chewie to Peter Mayhew. I think in a lot of ways. And it's really a shame that he's no longer with us. I mean, I don't know that there is a there is an actor I think that stands out to me that is more Star Wars than Chewie and Peter Mayhew. I mean, they're one and the same. Like I cannot imagine them doing something else with Chewie and not being Peter Mayhew.
Yeah. Well, which is so interesting because we then of course do get Jonas Suotamo, who took over in Solo and who did a lot more of the active scenes in Force Awakens. Because like you said, Corey, because of Peter's sickness, especially in that time of Force Awakens, he had a lot of mobility issues and did a lot of stuff. If Chewie's sitting and Chewie's doing stuff that's like short movements, that's probably Peter. But Jonas stepped into it, and it was so interesting. If you guys have ever watched really great interviews with Jonas, he talks so much about Peter and how much Peter Mayhew taught him about being Chewie and how much reverence he has. And it's so again, it's so interesting because the character that is essentially growls and grunts and looks like there is so much that goes into the two of them kind of crafting this character that has now evolved so much and become the second lead in Solo, which we again all enjoy, and I think is criminally underrated. But I love that we got to carry on, and that Peter was that link, like you're saying, Corey.
And hearing them talk about each other too, it seems like Jonas did genuinely love Mayhew. That he was almost like a mentor character, a mentor 100%. Father figure kind of with him, because that was some of the most moving stuff I think in those behind the scenes documentaries about like the Force Awakens and stuff, because like I didn't know who Jonas was before that. Has he been is he a big actor? I don't know if he was in a lot of stuff.
No,
but
he was a basketball player, wasn't he?
Yeah, he
was a big guy, so it surprised me.
Can you imagine hooping against Chewbacca?
He hooped. Yeah,
I really can't.
I've seen it happen in Teen Wolf, and they didn't bat an eye about it.
Classic West movie reference.
Teen Wolf.
Speaking of other movies, do you guys know where the term Wookiee came from? There's a trivia fact for you.
Oh, I do not know this.
I do not.
No.
So Lucas didn't even come up with this, if I'm remembering this right. And Jared, if you're in the chat, Legends. Someone fact check me, but Wookiee, I believe, came from a voice actor doing like background stuff for THX 1138 for Lucas, and it was like police radio, and someone said they'd hit a Wookiee on the road, and he loved that name, and then it became Chewbacca's species.
George, you're so weird.
Yeah, he is so
weird.
Fact check me.
So weird.
I think that's legit.
But also, don't fact check that. That's a great story.
What did he hit?
What got hit though?
A Wookiee.
Was it Bigfoot? It was a Bigfoot.
What does that mean? It was Bigfoot. No wonder George liked it.
He had to be a new cop. That sounds like a pretty Wookiee mistake to me. You know what I mean?
Oh
like a veteran is not gonna.
Have y'all seen that new show, The Wookiee? I think it's on Fox. Yeah.
Oh yeah, with Nathan Fillion. Yeah. No, it's like my favorite baseball movie about that kid that breaks his arm and then he plays for the Cubs. Wookiee of the Year.
Wookiee of the.
All right.
That's one.
All right.
Oh, sorry, Wes. I meant to talk about the Dennis Quaid baseball movie that you love called The Wookiee.
Now you're hurting my childhood. I love that movie.
It's a great.
Did he just
movie.
say funky butt loving? Okay. Sorry.
All right.
Continue.
You know what? Speaking of hurting our childhood, I think even though we're not always strictly a Legends show, this is the new living force. We expand all over the place. Let's talk about a moment with Chewie that destroyed a lot of people in all phases of childhood and adulthood. Charles, you put this in the outline. Set it up and tell us about one of the most impactful Chewie moments that, frankly, a lot of our listeners may not be aware of if they've only read canon.
Yeah. So, spoiler alert: anyone that's ever going to go back and read this 907 book series.
Wait, Wes, what's it called?
Oh, you want me to?
What's the series? How many books? What's it called?
Oh, it's a nanodectonal or a I forgot.
Nanodectology or something.
Yeah,
nano something.
19-book series.
It is actually a 19-book series, but yeah. So spoiler alert: if you're ever going to go back and read these, I think most people know this by now. We've joked about this on the show before. Eric, you were hit in the face with a moon for some acting gig. Do you remember that?
I do very well. That guy also got hired back at the festival that I was at, and I was like, bold choice, Cotton. Let's see if it works out.
Yeah, so long story short, let's talk about Chewie's demise in Legends. Essentially, this is in the opening book of this series that we're referring to as Vector Prime. And there's the cover there. Essentially what happens is Lando sends Han and Chewie and Anakin Solo to this planet Cernpedal, if that's how you say it. Who knows, really? And they're just supposed to be going and picking up some supplies.
It's actually pronounced Crown.
It's pronounced Crown. Yeah, the Y is silent. But anyways, the Yuuzhan Vong had basically installed some creature. They had this weird tech that was all organic. They only used like biologic things. And they put a creature inside of this planet, and it was slowly pulling the moon closer and closer and closer so that it would collide with the planet and destroy it. So anyways, Han, Chewie, Anakin, they figure this out. They start trying to evacuate everybody. And in the kerfuffle, if you will, Anakin gets left behind. And so they go back for him. Chewie saves his life. But in doing that, he gets left behind. And Han is like standing back on the ramp. The ramp is down on the Falcon, and they're trying to get him before things are too late. And they can't do it. They have to fly away. And the last thing that Han sees is Chewie roaring up at this moon in defiance as it crashes into the planet and it kills him. And people lost their collective minds because you don't kill Chewie, right?
Yeah.
Right?
R.A. Salvatore got death threats.
He did.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, genuine big deal.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Not even to make light of it, but people like hated him for doing this. And I mean, listen, it's going to happen eventually. The story was told. We lost Carrie, we lost the princess. We lost Han. I mean, we lost a lot of these characters. It is going to happen eventually if the story is going to continue. But long story short, what did we learn, right, from Chewie's demise in Legends? It's that
Star Wars fans suck.
Well, we definitely learned that. But
Peter Mayhew's legacy.
we knew that before. Come
on now.
What we learned, I mean, that just speaks towards the loyalty. I mean, that his
you're right.
life debt to Han extended not just to Han, but to his children, and that he gave his life up like that.
Yeah.
And the fact that it took a whole moon to take down Chewbacca, that says a lot too.
Did you ever pick up the trading card game, Vector Prime?
No. That's a trick.
Look
I had no idea. I wonder how the bubble gum in those packs taste.
So there's a the image on the screen is a package of trading cards, and it looks like it'd be the image of Chewie roaring up at the planet that's about to crush him.
Yeah, it's kind of a spoiler. Yeah,
Wow.
That series is such a trip for so many reasons, but I really, Jared saying in his chat, like, it made me physically sick. I literally puked. Maggie was distraught. Like, it was such a strong move, and I think that when canon first started, we talked about this a few weeks back. Now, like, we mentioned that when canon first started, it was a lot of character-centric books that didn't really make a lot of waves because they were feeling it out, and that was one of the criticisms. Was hilariously, because this is how Star Wars works, people are angry at the time, and then 10 years later, everyone's like, why isn't it like it was? Like, everyone was like, this moment was so impactful, and it was in a book. Like, they did this in a novel. Star Wars would never do that now. They won't take risks. And I think that's, again, it's one of the beautiful things about literature is that Chewbacca, everyone loved him so much that this moment simultaneously could alienate people and make people sick and make people feel awful, yet be one of the most memorable moments in the history of Star Wars literature decades later. It's wild. Yeah. It's just wild.
It is really wild.
For a dog character.
I know. R.A. Salvatore kind of swore off of Star Wars, I think. I don't know if it was that really did it or if he had more books after that, but I remember us talking about on the team that somebody on the team like lived like pretty close to him and was maybe going to try to get an interview with him or something like that. They live in the neighborhood or something crazy like that.
I thought that was Jared.
Was it Jared? It might have been Jared.
I thought it was.
But we decided not to do that because like he is a little bit notoriously, turned off from, he doesn't like talking to Star Wars fans, I think, in interviews and stuff. Okay, Jared said it was him. He couldn't get a response. And it was
can't blame him.
Yeah, I can't blame him either. I mean, that was shocking. I remember reading that as a kid. I read the first 3 books of that series. I never finished it. I've still to this day not finished it, but I read the first 3 books of that series. I know, only 16.
I mean, it's one of those things as a Star Wars fan where you're like someone gets cut in half, you're like, maybe they'll come back. But when a moon falls on you, though,
I know
Yeah.
that's pretty hard to. That's pretty hard to beat. You know.
So I looked it up, and the book came out. 4 months after Phantom Menace. So like Chewie was written into the script
too.
Yeah.
Well, and R.A. Salvatore, he wrote the novelization for Attack of the Clones. So
very well.
He was around. Yes, very good.
He stuck around. So
obviously one of the key
wild.
moments in Chewie's history. I do want to say one other key moment in Chewie's history in canon that hits me that a lot of people, namely maybe some of the writers of the Red Skywalker, do not know about, which is in the Chewbacca comic, his own miniseries, drawn by Phil Noto. It's really fun. It's a really great little story. Chewie gets his medal in canon. He got his medal in a comic, which to some people might make that moment in Rise of Skywalker feel a little weird. Some people might see that was a little overlooked. But it's a really nice thing, and I think we would be remiss if we took Wookiee Week, a Chewbacca-focused thing, and did not tell you all about this comic, because it was like early, like 2015, like one of the like early Star Wars Disney comics. Really short.
It's like they were testing the waters. Not this
one. Not this one, but there he is.
It looks like apparently he got a medal in Legends. What is this? Has got to be an original Marvel comic.
Chewie is jacked.
Look how long his arms are.
That's the power of the Force Chewbacca right there.
Also, Leia is as tall as him proportionally in this panel. This is from the 70s. If anyone's listening to the old school one.
Good God, look at his. He looks like a Hulk-like character. Look at his
I don't care
biceps,
for this.
dude.
I'll say it.
Man,
not my thing.
If Chewie was like a Chad, that's what this is.
Chad.
He's a Chad. No. He's a Chad meme. Chad Baca.
Chad Baca. Oh, but yeah, all that to say, I think that at the end of the day, we use a lot of like, oh, Star Wars is going to be the same without blank. Star Wars is going to be the same without blank. I think the reaction to his demise in Legends and the continual popping up of his character, the fact that Life Day is now a thing that people got, like there's merchandise at Disney parks about Life Day, even though the holiday special is one of the worst things in any media that's ever existed. But Chewie is so famous. Wookiees are so key. You look at any kid, and one of the first things they're going to love about Star Wars is the furry Wookiee that makes them feel safe, makes them feel loved. Everyone wants to hug Chewie. Yo, I hugged Chewie at Galaxy's Edge when we went for a celebration. I got surprisingly emotional. Like, I know it's just a dude in a suit, but there was just something about that I was like, oh my God, my entire childhood I've been realizing I've been wanting Chewie to hug me and make me feel safe, because that's just his job.
He's a very wholesome character. I think I have a memory burned in my mind from Celebration of Emily's daughter, Emily from Legends Lookback. Her daughter at Celebration, there was another kid that was a little older, maybe about 10 or so, and Emily's daughter is, I think, like 4 or 5, and maybe younger than that, 3, 4, 5, something in that range. And she hugged this other kid dressed as Chewbacca, and it was like the most wholesome thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, and there's a lot of that at Celebration. The people in the Chewie costumes are strangely wholesome. I don't know what it is about Chewie. I think it's the dog thing. It literally fills that void, I think, for folks. And what a good character.
Love him. I'm so glad that we think about it, because that's the thing when people ask, what's your favorite Star Wars character? What book do you want? I never go to Wookiees. I never go to thinking about it. But every time he pops up, it's like, oh, Chewie's here. Chewie, you're here, with Master Yoda. Like, because why not? But there is just that love, and it does make me want to go hug my dog. And I think it's no mistake that we're all dog people.
And not to mention, his character was pretty OP in Battlefront. Like, to play against him.
For real.
And he jumped and did that, like, fist smash on the ground and knocked you on your ass. And then you, like, immediately got shot by the bowcaster, and then you died.
And you could charge up the bowcaster before they nerfed it, and you could just go, boom!
He was really good.
Yeah. It was the power of like, like Han and Force Awakens being like, I like this thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because it really was that powerful, He has a bow and arrow that shoots bullets. Hell
Right,
yeah.
I
Guy is
know.
rad.
There's another moment I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up. It's actually one of my favorite Chewie moments, and it is canon. It's in a novelization. It's in the Rise of Skywalker novelization.
Great.
And if you have any qualms with that movie, please read the novelization. It is a better presentation of the story. And I know it's not a roundtable, but I brought a quote, guys, from page 119 of this novelization. It's when Kylo Ren is interrogating Chewie, because that happens. They apparently filmed that scene. Jonas wrote about it in his like biography about how he was genuinely scared of Adam Driver because of how into character he was during the interrogation. But anyways, this happens on page 119. It should have been satisfying to watch Chewbacca wince in fear. Kylo should have felt pleasure in reaching out with the Force, inserting himself into the Wookiee's mind, ripping away his memories and thoughts. Instead, it was exhausting. He saw flashes of the Wookiee laughing with a much younger Han Solo than he himself remembered, felt Chewbacca's joy when his best friend married the woman he'd come to love like his sister, saw the Wookiee cuddling a human toddler, teaching an older boy to fly a speeder, target practice with a young man, their blasters set on stun against a haphazard dummy made of rocks. Uncle Chewie, he called him back then. Nausea rolled around in the pit of Kylo's stomach when he finally walked away from Interrogation 6. He'd gotten what he needed. Surely the sense of triumph would follow soon. And it was one of a couple of moments in that novelization. Yeah, there's the concept art that Wes has pulled up of that interrogation. And I mean, incredibly dark. Even in the novel, they didn't detail things, right? But they did just enough to show you, like, again, even in canon, that Chewie's life debt goes beyond Han. It goes to his kin. It goes to the people important to him. And in a way, I think that was one of those first moments that Kylo started stepping back towards Ben Solo, seeing, even after what he'd done to Han Solo, even after killing Han Solo, that he was still so dear to Chewbacca. So, I mean, incredibly important moment, I think, in the story of Chewbacca and in the story of Ben Solo. And it's one that you only get if you read this novelization.
Yeah. Chewie, I mean, and Chewie is one of those characters that in this novelization, in the original novelizations, in the Solo novelization, like, because he is that kind of more non-verbal character, so many of his thoughts are really expanded upon beautifully, I think, in literature. And I think the ways that authors use Chewie is always so great for that reason. And yeah, Rise of Skywalker does it super well. I mean, that few seconds we all thought Chewie exploded. I think
no kidding.
We're raw points of that movie, right? Like,
very upset.
And
it was less than a minute, but it really was really freaky there for a second.
Daisy Ridley's acting really sold it too. I was like, he's dead, 100%.
Yeah, my only qualm with that whole thing, my only qualm with that whole scene is that they immediately showed Chewie afterwards to tell you he's alive. I wish they had not put that little scene in there. It wasn't necessary.
Nope. I need a little while longer.
I know. Ray realizing he was alive when they were on Kijimi would have been a better way to do that. But we can complain about Rise of Skywalker all day long. We're not here for that. All right.
We have too many podcasts about that. But yeah, I think, at the end of the day, Chewie is Star Wars, just in a similar vein as like 3PO and R2 are Star Wars. They're always there. They're always around. And when you think about it, you can't imagine what the world would be without them. But it really, really bears remembering now and then that when Star Wars was made, this was not done. These kind of characters were not around. And they changed filmmaking forever. They changed storytelling forever. And we're always going to be indebted to Chewie and Peter and Jonas and all of our little Wookiees. I love them.
None of those people that were in the holiday special, though. Jared's going to talk about those on Thursday, but we don't. I personally don't know if I acknowledge those. I don't know. Have you guys watched the holiday special? All of you, Eric?
Yes.
Have you watched it? Finally watched it. Remember, I used to be really insistent that was going to be a Patreon reward, and you were insistent that we're not going to do it. I think we should. I still to this day think we should.
That's a great reward.
We will absolutely do it one day. We will absolutely do it one day.
I have
Life's
that. I
kinda
have
slowed
that
down.
on a
involved.
DVD with the Muppet Star Wars special as well.
Wow,
Oh.
is that genuine or is it a a Chinese fake?
Bootleg.
Oh, I know. I had a friend
it
in
has to be
college.
fake.
Actually, my roommate in college got me a copy of it. I don't even know how he managed to
Yeah,
do
it's,
that.
I don't think he got it at Walmart. You know,
No,
I don't
no.
think that he picked it off the shelf.
I don't think they
Definitely.
printed any of them.
When I
don't
watched
think.
it, when I watched it, it was hard
They
for
did
me to
not.
find on the internet itself. I mean, it's not on YouTube. You
Yeah,
have to go like
I got it
find
somewhere.
find it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I gotta find
Lucas
You gotta
used all
find
the
it,
power
find
he
it.
had.
Gotta turn
Well,
off that Google safe search.
That's
if you know what I
right.
mean.
Jeez, you don't want those parts. Hey, man, there is that whole VR section. If you know, you know. But that is a great point. That on Thursday, let's throw up that beautiful visual one more time tonight. On Wookiee Week, this will continue with our friends at Legends Lookback, like Shark Week, but scruffier. Like we're talking all Wookiees on Thursday, and then of course Trevor and Jose releasing a Patreon bonus of the Star Wars Archives on Sunday for all your Wookiee needs. My gosh, what a weird, beautiful thing these Wookiees are. Fellas, before we let the fine folks go off to rewatch all of these Wookiee scenes, and of course reread Vector Prime in its entirety. Any final thoughts about our Millennium Falcon co-pilot?
I said last week on Legends Lookback that Chewbacca resonated with me the most out of any Star Wars character, and probably with you too, Corey, because he is a jack of all trades. He is a co-pilot. He can pilot a ship. He can fix the ship. He's very loyal, and I mean, he does pretty much everything. Just okay. He's really good at nothing, but he's
know.
okay at a lot of things.
Renaissance man.
Chewie can
He
do it.
is. He is a Renaissance man.
Yeah.
I loved. I can't believe we didn't bring this up already. I loved how they made the fact that Han had no idea that his bowcaster was like super badass.
Yeah.
But that was like that was a whole thing. Oh, in the Force
For
Awakens, he was like
decades.
literally had been probably shooting at people for decades with that thing. How many
Yep,
people
in
you think
Legends-
Chewie of Han?
I
killed?
like
In
this
Legends,
thing.
they give
So
I
many.
know. So many.
In Legends, they give Han, I think, the first bowcaster Chewie ever made after he dies as like a consolation.
Right.
Yeah.
They did. God, that's sad.
What?
Too.
Yeah.
So sad.
But not to end things on a downer. Chewbacca also is a character who resonates with me because he's tall. He's
Yeah.
tall.
Yes, he's very
I
tall.
see the world like Chewie. Not quite.
I will also say, to end us also on another fun note, are you guys team Chewie has paws or team Chewie has weird fingers?
Chewie has
to
weird
have
fingers.
Okay.
Yeah.
He
Weird
does,
fingers?
but like, yeah, you know, when he grabs Lando in like Empire, you see it's basically just like paws that are grabbing his neck. But then in Force Awakens, he has like fingers that go around the
I think
detonators.
he just
it
has
looks
long.
weird.
He's like my dog. My dog
No.
gets hair that grows between the toes that gets longer than the nails. That's
Yeah.
Chewie.
And the vet or the groomer like has to trim that hair out of there. So in Force Awakens, he's just been groomed recently. That's really what's happened.
Oh my God!
No,
They have
I
more
will
money in
also-
the New Republic. So back
know,
when they
there you
were
go.
rebels, they didn't have
You can
any
afford
money.
a haircut now.
That wasn't in the budget.
I will
Oh my
say that him
God.
clicking that thing was pretty gross and weird. He goes click like it's a whole thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it was
yeah.
the whole
ridiculous.
movement. Also, God, grooming Chewie would be so expensive. Oh my God! Like just
Oh,
yes, it
imagine
would.
taking him to the
De-
Yeah,
Shredder.
get him a wash.
I know.
Yeah, get him the de-shredder thing.
think-
and
you
can you
think
please
Han-
clip his nails?
Please. Do you think Han had like a lint roller somewhere on the Falcon?
Oh, he had to. Can you
I
imagine
think he
he's
just
like in
acknowledged
hyperspace and it just
dog
like kind
hair.
of zooms around the ship and just gets in the vents?
Just takes this giant
Where
lint
did
roller.
Wes
He's just
go?
like, just
Oh,
covered in
man.
hair. Covered in hair.
You think he has to you think Chewie like sheds once a year like a golden retriever and Han's got one of those big wiry brush things that's to pull out all the long hairs?
Oh,
or
sure.
the
something like that?
undercoat?
The undercoat, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Absolutely. God, there's not a shower drain in the world that would help that out. And everyone, when you go to bed tonight, I want you to imagine Harrison Ford with the world's biggest lint brush going over to Peter Mayhew for a deleted scene.
Like a shop broom.
That's it. Well, everyone, let us know all of your favorite Chewie moments, all your favorite Wookiee moments in the comments, on the Twitters. What we hope you love Wookiees as much as we do. And make sure to tune in to Legends Lookback in the Star Wars Archives as they continue Wookiee Week later on with everything that they love about our furriest friends. But for right now, that will do it for this week's episode of The Living Force. If you support us on Patreon, thank you so much for encouraging this madness on a weekly basis. A special thank you to Brian Dooley, Patrick Ortiz, Earl Q, Robert Thomas, and Carl Sander on our Jedi High Council, and Elizabeth Cloutier, Ashley Ingalls, and Sally and Chris Alderson in our Alliance High Command. Let us know if you want to see us do the holiday special. We'll put it on the calendar. You can find us on Twitter at Living Force Pod and at Eric Eilerson, at Corey M. Helton, at C. Henkel, and at Boss Wes. A special thank you to Matt Davenport, our amazing editor, Ryan, our graphic designer extraordinaire, and Wes, our producer and community manager. Thank you to Corey, Charles, and Wes for potting with me tonight. Thanks to all of you for watching and listening. And as always,